What is going on, guys? I just watched Happy Death Day to You yesterday, and I thought it'd be a great idea to kind of share my thoughts on the movie. If you haven't watched this movie before, don't worry, I won't get into any major spoilers in this review. Once again, this film stars Jessica Rothe as Tree Gilman as she wakes up to discover that she is trapped in another never-ending time loop. But this time, things are slightly different. She soon finds out that she is living in a parallel universe and that everyone she knows is a completely different version of themselves. Tree finds herself once again hunting down the masked murderer and with her friends to try and stop this time loop once and for all. Similar to the first movie, this one is more of a comedy than a horror. But in my opinion, they kind of dumbed down on the comedic aspects and focused on the emotional factor a little bit more, because this movie had a lot of heart. It was much more emotional than the previous movie. It also had some strong life advice about decision making as well, especially when Tree is met with a decision where she will lose something incredibly valuable to her, whichever choice she makes. And I think this aspect made the movie a lot more deeper than your average horror comedy, and it's something that I really liked. When I saw the first movie, I didn't really feel a need for a second one, but now that we have it, I can say that it's a lot different than the first one. It focuses less on the killer and thrilling aspects, and more on how Tree and her friends stop this time loop. And I'm not sure if I like or dislike that. I like that it's different and we get to learn about the time loop, something that I felt was heavily ignored in the first film. But on the other hand, I really liked the killer and the suspense scenes from the first one because there were more of them and they were more varied. And while they were mild suspense, it felt consistent throughout the whole movie. Whereas in this movie, the killer is kind of an afterthought. I really like the setup for this movie and that we see Ryan experience the time loop for the very first time. But we learn about what's causing this time loop very early on in the movie, making it seem very anticlimactic. And I'm not too sure I'm sold on this idea either. This movie feels slightly messy. The second act has a total different feeling vibe than the first and third. It goes from comedy/thriller to emotional, back to comedy thriller. The movie's pacing is off and this doesn't make the story feel consistent enough. I like this movie until the halfway point where I think they drag the emotional part far too long. There are a lot of things that don't quite make sense in this movie, and I think that the directing and CGI is a step below that of the previous movie. For instance, when Tree was killing herself to figure out how to stop this time loop, it would have been a major pain in the ass to tell everyone her story every time she woke up. And they just believed it every time. When she was skydiving off the plane, she landed in a perfect position, which was highly unrealistic. And why did this never-ending time loop only happen to Tree and Ryan? Although there are things that don't quite make sense, the first movie teaches us to not take these things too seriously, because these movies are very tongue-in-cheek. If I had to give you guys any sort of advice, it's to not watch a trailer before the movie. You'll be much more surprised, because the trailer does give some major information out, such as the answer to why the never-ending time loop exists in the first place. Even if they don't straight up give you the information, you can still speculate what happens. Also, it's very important to watch the first movie before this one, because there will be a lot of references you won't understand otherwise. At the end of the day, I don't think I like this movie as much as the original. I really did not expect the way that this movie turned out. Originally, while watching the movie, I thought I liked it a lot. But now, after having watched all of it and reflecting back onto it, my opinion has definitely changed. It has a lot of unique elements, but a lot of the things that I liked in the first film was missing. I'm going to give Happy Death Day a C. Thank you guys so much for watching this review if you made it this far. Please leave a like and a sub to help grow this channel. Also, please leave a comment. I'm interested to hear other people's thoughts on this movie. And if you haven't already, please check out my previous video. Until next time.